Hi guys, so I will start with some of the stories. Okay, some of the community members. So I'll keep it anonymous. They did post on there, but I didn't tell them that I was going to talk about it on a Facebook Live. So I'll keep some details out. Okay, so one mom says, the past couple years, I've felt my overall health go down. Same symptoms you describe. You had a few years back, low energy, always tired, weight gain, a lot in the last two years, the weight gain, acne breakouts, bloating, and bad IBS symptoms, brain fog, as well as anxiety, depression, was an ongoing struggle, or is an ongoing struggle, aches and pains, and feeling old. Time for change and getting me back. Okay, so that's one. Another mom says, where is it? I have most, if not all, the symptoms. She's referring to the symptoms that I had in my story. IBS, depression, and bloated being huge impact, and pimples at my age. And another mom puts, let's see, I'll skip part of that. So it's anonymous. Since my youngest, I have had pretty much all the same symptoms Terry has mentioned. I would get tests as well as they would come back great, but I sure didn't feel great. For the most part, we try and eat healthy, but still need to improve in that department. When it comes to exercise, it gets the back burner. Really hoping to work on that this year, as the last year I have gained weight, and I too just want to feel good again. I'm too young to feel this damn old. Another person put, thank you for doing this. Looking at all the symptoms you experienced, I have most of them. Need to try something new to help me feel better. And maybe I'll read one more. Okay. I have basically all the same symptoms as you, Terry. In fact, I should call to see what my latest blood work results are, but don't really feel like being told it all looks normal again. I feel like I've tried everything out there to feel better. This is going to be the year it gets figured out though. I had some people reach out to me. So we, via Messenger, I gave them kind of mini consultations. So I'll share a little bit about that. And for one, the one lady, I got permission to use her name and to share her photos. So it's pretty impressive. So I'll show you that. I don't know if it'll show up very well on here, so I'll even post the photo in the comments after. And the other one, I haven't heard from her yet, so I kept her anonymous and I didn't show the pictures. Okay, so the first one is Allison, and she wrote, "Hey there, just thought I'd share this with you. I've been using a lot of your recipes. I'm very thankful that you have been sharing them. 70 pounds gone. 70, not 7, but 70 pounds gone. My family's favorite is definitely the black bean brownies." And that's, side note, that's one of my favorites too. I'll post that recipe below too. And then in another message she put, "I use a lot of your recipes. It definitely helped me to stay on track." This was January 2015 and January 2016. So she lost 70 pounds and I'll flip that around. She lost 70 pounds in 1 year. So like super impressed with that. And I'm not taking credit for that. Like that's amazing. That's a ton of hard work. So she discovered that she had a big issue with dairy. So she had cut that out completely. And my recipes are all dairy free and gluten free. So if you are finding that you need to cut out dairy or gluten, I recommend checking out my website and in the blog section and also on my Facebook pages. I've got lots of recipes there. Okay. And she also, so she cut out dairy in that year, and she also started eating cleaner and cut back on the sugar. And so it just, made a huge difference. And then the other one, I will call her, so sorry, I'm just reading this off of here. We'll call her Jean. And so I'll kind of just read out what she had wrote. "Having issues with very low energy, exhausted and can't stay awake. Mood issues including anxiety and depression and heart palpitations, and severe PMS symptoms." So she did go into a little bit more detail when we chatted, but what I recommended for her was an elimination diet, because when you have a wide variety of symptoms, often that that can point to food allergies. So what do I have here? Food intolerances can show up in various ways and in many ways. So she's got quite a variety of issues, and it doesn't always fix everything, but sometimes like the symptoms are all kind of connected. So if gluten and dairy is an issue, and that's your biggest issue, you'll notice not just that one problem goes away, you'll notice that all of or the majority of your problems will go away. Like they're so connected. You'll notice if you start getting sick, then you'll have maybe you'll start having, like for kids for example, they'll start having earaches, and then they'll start having maybe digestive issues. For adults, maybe you'll start having acne and different things. It's usually not just like one area where you've got issues. It'll be many different areas. So anyways, I'll continue on here. So I recommended she do an elimination diet to see if there's foods that are issues for her. I also told her she may have an underactive thyroid because of her severe PMS symptoms. That can point to an underactive thyroid. There could be other issues going on too, but that's fairly common. And also for the thyroid, which made me think of that, was the extreme exhaustion is very common with low thyroid, and trouble losing weight. Even if you're like not eating a whole lot, you're eating good, and you still can't lose the weight, or you just keep putting weight on, then thyroid is something to really look at. So with the low energy, a lot of people experience that, and there can be like the two most common reasons for that, I find, are food intolerances can just be so draining on the body, and the low thyroid output. So if you're dealing with that, those are the two things to look into. And what else do I have here? The extreme exhaustion and trouble losing weight also point to this. I had her try the basal temperature test, which is an at-home test. It's an at-home way of testing your thyroid output. So if you feel like you've got thyroid issues, but your test came back normal, which often those tests aren't very accurate, you can do a basal temperature test. I won't go into that right now. You can, if you want to try that out, you can just Google it, and you just need a thermometer, and you just test your temperature a few times, and that's a pretty good indicator. And so you can try that. If that's showing, if that doesn't show, or if it's showing that you're having thyroid issues, then there are some specific thyroid tests you can request from your doctor that they don't usually test for. I also gave her a list of foods. There's certain foods that are really good for hormone health. I won't go into detail, but in particular, you want to make sure you're getting enough fat to help your hormones function properly. Hormones need fats, and I recommended foods to avoid and a few supplements that could help. And then so she got back to me. I think it was the next day she got back to me, and she immediately did the basal temperature test, and that indicated low thyroid. So not that anybody wants to have low thyroid, but it was kind of exciting because it starts to point her in the right direction of where some of these issues are stemming from. So that was good. And then 2 weeks later, I got another message from her, and she put, so I got, what do I have here? And 2 weeks later, I received a message saying she had cut out gluten and dairy. She also suffered from skin issues, which she hadn't mentioned before. So she'd always had some skin issues. And so she sent me a picture, and there's a before and after 1 week and after 2 week photo. And because I haven't got her permission yet, I want to keep this anonymous, I won't share the photos, but the difference was amazing in just 2 weeks of cutting out gluten and dairy. So I do need to get an update on her and see how she's doing right now. But yeah, it's just, I wanted to mention about how sometimes cutting out, and it seems like for a lot of people, sometimes after 4 days, say you've got bloating and gas issues, for some people, your symptoms completely go away after cutting those foods out. For me, and for some, it can take months, and it's a gradual process, and you slowly get better. But it's it's definitely worth it, and it's not as scary and as hard as it sounds to go through life, or to try cutting them out for a little while, and then if you have to go through years of not having it, it's not that hard once you get doing it. And yeah, it's just kind of a new way of eating. You don't really feel deprived after a while. You might be thinking like, okay, like how do I start? So I wanted to give you a little bit of guidance on that. And so there's a few different ways you can go about it. And I already mentioned about the elimination diet, that's a huge thing. And if you're dealing with exhaustion, the basal temperature test, with the elimination diet, you cut out the top allergenic foods for 3 weeks, and then you slowly introduce them. You have to introduce them slowly and really pay attention to your symptoms. And that is supposed to be a better indicator than even like food allergy testing, because sometimes those aren't fully accurate. Another way, some people want to go into it more slowly and maybe just change one habit at a time. So you can focus on your breakfast and get your day started on a good note with a breakfast with a good source of protein and good source of fat. And then maybe a week later, a couple weeks later, once you've got some good breakfast going, then you can introduce, look at changing up your evening snacks so that you're not getting overwhelmed. I just noticed my mom joined, and they're kind of, hopefully she doesn't mind me sharing, but they're kind of doing it this way. They're slowly changing different things, and for them, they started introducing smoothies into their diet, so they're getting way more fruits and vegetables into the diet every day. It's turned into a habit, so they don't really even think about it. They're just getting like so many antioxidants, so much chlorophyll in form of the greens, and those can be so healing. So go about it whichever way works best for you, if you like to just dive right in, or if you'd like to just change small habits at a time. And then the third way, the cleanse, that starts on Monday the 11th. And part of the reason I created that is because it's so good for if you're starting out, like if you want to shift your diet and you want to be able to like stick with a different way of eating, a different lifestyle. With the 7-day cleanse, so you have to, it's fairly strict for 7 days, but I find with 7 days, committing to that is not too bad. And also there's a community of moms that are doing it with you. And each day we kind of check in, give you tips, and we guide you through it, like exactly what to eat. So the biggest thing with that cleanse, I find, is that at the end of the 7 days, your palate has changed. Like an apple tastes way better now. So you enjoy fruits and vegetables a lot more, and also your cravings really change. So that's the thing that I really noticed the most about this cleanse. And so in that way, it makes it so much easier to continue on with like a healthy lifestyle after that, because you're kind of like, it's almost like a reset. It also changes your body internally. You can't make massive changes in 7 days, but it does start to shift your gut microbiome, which is your bacteria that you have in your digestive tract. It starts to change that. Like with every bite of sugary processed food you eat, you are feeding a certain type of bacteria. And with every bite of like dark leafy greens or apple or different vegetables, you are feeding different bacteria. Generally, oh hey grandma. So you're feeding the good bacteria. So in those 7 days, we really cut out sugar, we cut out alcohol. And you get just massive amounts of vegetables, and it's designed in a way that it's tasty. And with the smoothies, they still taste pretty good. I'd say really good. And so you're not really feeling like you're missing out. So yeah, you're making shifts on the internal as well as shifting your cravings and changing your palate. Want to get started on making some changes? Definitely go to my website. One other thing I wanted to mention too is if you want to get started with cleaner suppers, or if you've got people in your family that have been diagnosed with celiac or gluten intolerance or dairy issues, and you want to know what to make for supper, I've got probably at least 10 different weeks of meal plans. If you want some meal plans, they're all free meal plans. You can go to my website, mamarecharge.com, and go to the blog section and type in meal plans, and they'll all come up for you. Pretty soon I'm going to add more recipes there, and I'll make a whole section for meal plans so that you don't have to type in the search button. But if you're looking for that, that's there, and they're all like clean and simple, tasty. One of my favorites is a paleo pad thai. So it tastes like a restaurant pad thai, but it's low carb, it's gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. So yeah, check those out. Okay, so I think that's about it. Have a good Sunday. Bye.